Coming up on Hoosier Sports Nite, the men's soccer team prepares for the NCAA tournament. And the baseball team couldn't stop scoring runs versus Minnesota this past weekend. This is Hoosier Sports Nite. Yep. Hello and welcome to Hoosier Sports Nite. I'm Mike Moskaluk. Entering the season as conference favorites, the IU men's soccer squad lived up to every expectation set for them in their conference, winning the regular season and tournament for a third straight year. Up next is their biggest test, a trip to North Carolina for the start of the NCAA tournament. Ranked number 3 in the nation, the Hoosiers are yet again one of the favorites to win the whole thing. For more on the challenges and obstacles IU has had to deal with, we send it over to Jack Edwards.
In a season full of history, IU men's soccer can make more in North Carolina. Off the back of a 6th straight Big Ten trophy, the Hoosiers have the chance to make waves in the NCAA tournament in the spring as opposed to the fall. Head coach Todd Yeagley says this is just one more challenge they're ready to overcome.
We said it from the fall, get ready for every curveball imaginable, and we've gotten some of those.
The Hoosiers were drawn 3rd overall in the NCAA tournament, giving themselves a bye in the first round and a chance to watch their opponents in action. Milwaukee and St. Francis Brooklyn have been the focus of preparation, posing interesting challenges.
We have to prepare for 2 and then quickly turn that around and get the guys ready. The flip side, obviously, they have to play a game and play 4 days later. So I kind of splitting hairs on where you are with that, but we'll be prepared for Milwaukee and St. Francis Brooklyn.
The players themselves are both insulated in the tournament bubble and from thinking about their potential opponent until a winner is decided.
So our focus is on us, and then we'll start introducing our opponent to them on Friday once we have that game wrapped up.
IU will be without 2 of their key defensive pieces for their first match, one being Joey Mayer, who was suspended following a red card in the Big Ten Tournament Championship game, and the other being Spencer Glass, the senior captain who was out for the season with a broken leg. Yeagley says that Glass is still finding a way to influence the Hoosiers off the pitch.
So I think Spencer knows that his positivity and his help with, he's pulling guys aside and giving them little pointers. I think he's keeping the seniors locked in, the captains, and I just can't say enough about him.
For IUS TV Sports, I'm Jack Edwards.
IU plays the winner of Milwaukee and St. Francis Brooklyn on May 2nd at 5 p.m. Make sure to follow IUS TV Sports on Twitter for all your updates on the quest for 9. And the Indiana Hoosiers baseball team was back in Bloomington this past weekend as they hosted the Minnesota Golden Gophers. IU had already beaten Minnesota twice this season, but the team was looking for a clean season sweep. IUS TV's Sean Neef has a recap of how their weekend series went down.
Indiana baseball had arguably their most dominant series of play against Minnesota this past weekend. In the first game, the Hoosiers never trailed even once, and every single Hoosier batter reached base at least once throughout the game. On the mound, Tommy Summer pitched 6 dominant innings and was followed by 2 hitless innings from Grant Machoki in his first appearance in the Cream and Crimson. Following this 9-3 victory, IU remained in control in the second part of their doubleheader with some reliable bats from Colin Hopkins and Morgan Colopy, who both finished with 3 hits each. A carousel of 5 different Hoosier pitchers closed out the second half of this doubleheader as the Hoosiers picked up their 3rd Twin Bill sweep this season with a score of 7-1. Sunday was a day of pure dominance for IU's squad. In the first inning, IU sent 11 different batters to the plate. By the end of the second, the score stood at 13-0. The offensive dominance continued throughout the game, as the Golden Gophers had to delve into their bullpen with 5 different pitchers, 3 of which pitched a single inning or less. By the end, the Hoosiers had accumulated 23 runs and 17 hits, season highs for both stats. Minnesota had no answer for the offensive onslaught, only plating 1 run the entire game. IU's 23 runs is the most for the program since 2016, when they recorded 27 against Butler. With this dominating performance, IU has swept Minnesota on the season for the first time since going 2-0 against the program in 1962. talk about a historic weekend for IU baseball. For IUS TV Sports, I'm Sean Neef. Now back to you in the studio.
With those impressive efforts, IU improves to 18-8 on the season, and freshman Morgan Colopy earned Big Ten Freshman of the Week honors. The team will be looking to continue their 4-game win streak at home again this season against the Iowa Hawkeyes team who boasts 18 wins as well. Be sure to follow Sean and Jevin on Twitter for future Hoosier baseball updates. And over the weekend, the women's golf team traveled to TPC Rivers Bend in Maineville, Ohio to compete in the 2021 Big Ten Championship. The Hoosiers were led by Valerie Clancy, who finished tied for 20th, shooting 4 over par. Clancy carded a 1 over par last Sunday. Hannah Tanaka also carded her best round of the event with a 73 on Sunday as well. As a unit, the Hoosiers registered their best round of the event, carding a 297, which was also the lowest round for the women's team all season. The Hoosiers men's golf team wrapped up the Robert Kepler Collegiate Sunday in Columbus, Ohio, finishing with 3 players placing in the top 15. Junior Mitch Davis carded a 2 over par, which was good for a tie for 9th place. Freshman Clay Merchant and senior Ethan Shepard both tied for 13th place with a 3 over par finish. The men's team travels to Crooked Stick Course in Carmel, Indiana this weekend for the 2021 Big Ten Tournament. And in football news, linebacker Desan Mccullough, son of new associate head coach and running back coach Desan Mccullough, had previously committed to the Ohio State Buckeyes. But on April 25th, he announced that he would no longer be going to Ohio State to join the Buckeyes, but rather coming to Indiana to play under his dad. In the process, he becomes the highest-ranked football recruit the Hoosiers have ever had. But that's not all for the McCullough family, as Desan Mccullough II announced on April 24th that he was transferring from Miami of Ohio to come play defensive back for the Hoosiers. And rounding it out, the third McCullough brother, Day McCullough, a class of 2023 safety, had also previously committed to Indiana, making it a trifecta of McCullough sons IU bound over the next couple years. And on the diamond, IU softball split the weekend series in Champaign, Illinois this past weekend to maintain their .500 record. Senior Bella Norton tallied 2 home runs for the Hoosiers Friday night on the diamond, while Taylor Lambert and Grayson Radcliffe each added 1 to the stat sheet. The Hoosiers unfortunately dropped Game 1 by a close score of 7-5, but bounced back for victory in Game 2. In the Sunday doubleheader, IU lost Game 3, but Brooke Benson lifted IU to a 1-0 win in the finale. IU softball, now at 16-16, is back in action this weekend at home against the 9-16 Michigan State Spartans. Follow Josh and Ryan on Twitter for updates for each game. And unfortunately, last year the Little 500 race did not take place due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Thankfully, the race is able to take place this year, and our very own Jordan Gould has the story on how the race and events surrounding it will be a little bit different.
This year, the Little 500 has large implications. After COVID-19 canceled last year's races, health and safety measures leading up to race day next month are essential in getting what is known as the greatest college weekend off the ground running.
My job is just going forward, just make it as great a race as it can be, even if it is on May 26th, get the riders in there, get them safe, have a good, well-run race, because we as a community needed to have a race this year, or else there would be some dire consequences for the Little 500.
Because of the pause, the race and events leading up to the big day will be unfamiliar to a lot of people.
It's been great to get back to normal, seeing all my buddies on other teams and seeing our guys as well. It's something I really miss, especially over the summer and the fall. We're a little bit more disconnected, so now that we're back to the track and back to riding again, it's been awesome, and I really miss it a lot.
Even though there won't be fans at this year's Little 500, riders are just happy to be here at the track practicing at a time when last season they were sitting at home during this time.
My goal right now is to create the smoothest race possible for 2021. And once that checkered flag flies in the men's race after 4 o'clock, that wave of relief over me will just envelop me.
The first finish line that all riders will have to cross this year? Testing negative for from a rapid COVID test right outside the stadium that they will have to take on race day.
It's better to get tested and take all the precautions and maybe get to race than to cancel the race altogether. So we've all been learning to live with uncertainty, right, the past year or so, and so it's another uncertain part of life. But it's for now we're still able to race, so we're here for it.
The race will take place on Wednesday, May 26th, without fans in the stands, as Jordan mentioned. And IU's water polo team traveled to Berkeley, California to take on the number 4 ranked Cal Golden Bears. The Hoosiers dropped a close game 12-10 in the Saturday matchup, as 2 goals from Zoe Crouch, among others, weren't enough to pull out the win. In the Sunday game, the Hoosiers fell 13-3. After opening the game with a 2-1 lead, the Hoosiers couldn't capitalize on a plethora of chances in the second period, and eventually the Golden Bears were able to pull away. Izzy Mandema had 2 goals for the Hoosiers and is now only 5 goals shy of tying Candace Schroeder for 10th place on the IU single-season goals list. Now the Hoosiers earned the 6th seed in the MPSF tournament and will be back in action Friday, April 30th, as they take on the 3-seeded Stanford Cardinal in Tempe, Arizona. And although this is our last show of this semester, the Hoosiers have plenty of action left. Our very own Josh Bodie is here in studio to break down the upcoming matches, games, and tournaments. Josh?
Thanks, Mike. Let's get right into it. First up is the men's golf team traveling up to Carmel, Indiana on Friday for the Big Ten Championships. The tournament will go through Sunday and will take place at the Crooked Stick Golf Club. Also starting on Friday, the track and field team begins hosting the Big Ten Indiana Invitational right here in Bloomington. The meet will wrap up the next day. Another Hoosier team with hosting duties this weekend is the rowing team, who will host the 12th annual Dale England Cup here in Bloomington at Lake Lemon on Saturday. And then wrapping it up, this time next Thursday will be the men's soccer team kicking off the NCAA tournament in Cary, North Carolina, with the opponent to be determined. And that's what's coming up this week. Mike, back to you.
Thanks, Josh. And that will do it for us here at Hoosier Sports Nite for this semester. Thanks so much for tuning in and following all year long. To stay up to date on all sports until we're back in studio in the fall, don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at IUSTV Sports. For our production crew behind me, I'm Mike Moskaluk. We'll see you next year.